In Austin, I'm Quita Culpepper. More than a dozen protesters are facing charges following an anti-ICE demonstration in downtown Austin Monday night. The protest started peacefully at the state capitol. People marched across the downtown area. Once they got to the federal building, Austin Police Chief Davis says officers saw people spray painting the walls and windows. Officers used pepper balls, which releases pepper spray, to disband the crowd. Chief Davis says protesters threw rocks and spit at police. 4 officers were hurt. Chief Davis says people have a right to peacefully protest, but what unfolded last night won't be tolerated.
Our goal remains clear. It is protect the safety and the rights of everyone, community members and officers alike. Again, it is a fundamental right to protest. However, when that protest turns violent, when it turns to throwing rocks, throwing bottles at officers, at other members of the public and community, that will not be tolerated. Arrests will be made.
APD arrested 8 people and DPS arrested 5 for things like criminal mischief, interfering with public duties, and resisting arrest. A 3rd child is facing a capital murder charge in the death of a man who was shot and run over in Del Valle. Agents with the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force arrested a 13-year-old suspect at a home in San Marcos last week. The homicide happened near the corner of Ross Road and Thome Valley Drive on May 3rd. Austin police say the suspects killed 20-year-old Anthony Salas when he tried to locate his family's stolen car. 2 other boys, ages 12 and 13, were also charged with capital murder. Austin and Travis County leaders say federal funding to fight the opioid epidemic is delivering real results. Fentanyl-related deaths dropped 36% in 2024 compared to the year before. Elected officials said federal money helped fund more than 24,000 doses of Narcan. And now there's Narcan in every fire truck, ambulance, and police car. Austin ISD leaders will be making some very tough decisions about job cuts at their central office. Employees recently got word that any position in the office could be up for reorganization. Here's Jessica Cha.
Tracell Underwood keeps up to date with Austin ISD. As Vice President of Education Austin, the union for AISD employees and teachers, she meets with district leaders once a month.
We go over proposals, whether it's around pay, workplace conditions.
But a notice emailed out to AISD employees last week was news to them. On June 5th, AISD informed their central office team that they'd be going through a reorganization of all positions. Workers will know by June 18th if they'll lose their jobs or switch positions.
We were a bit taken back and a little surprised.
She says it's partially because the union had already recommended cuts to central office last August, but the district wasn't originally receptive. They say an audit found that cutting 48 senior positions would save the district $6.6 million. She says those jobs were being created every year, though.
So we're like, how is that position given direct services to a campus?
Education Austin says that their next step is to reach out to AISD leaders to talk about what these cuts will look like. We also reached out to AISD, and they told us in a statement that they're looking to cut down on unnecessary positions. In an FAQ provided by AISD, they say that since 2017, student enrollment has declined from 80,000 to 72,000, while the executive positions nearly doubled. They say they must realign, eliminate, and create new pay scales to prepare for unanticipated costs as they face possible school shutdowns, restructuring, and more than $1 million budget deficit. Underwood says the union just hopes that this will be a thoughtful process.
They could lose their whole position, or they could be clearly demoted to something else, because financially it will be a change, or why else do it?
All changes will take effect August 1st. Keeping up with AISD. In Austin, Jessica Cha, KVUE News.
The Texas Education Agency released spring STAR test results for high school end of course exams. The assessment shows less than half of Texas high schoolers are meeting performance expectations in math. For more than a decade, the state has relied mostly on STAR test results to grade school districts and individual campuses. Here's Daniel Perot.
I think we saw some mixed results.
According to TEA data, the most notable gain was in biology, where 62% of students met expectations, up by 5% from last spring. English 1, 2, and U.S. history all saw losses in meeting expectations. Gabe Grantham, an education policy advisor for Texas 2036, says that data concerns him.
It's a call for a renewed effort to focus in on literacy and reading achievement in Texas, especially in those later grades.
In Austin ISD, students gained in Algebra 1 and biology, but declined in English and held steady in history.
This decline means that we're leaving more and more kids behind in terms of grade level proficiency, so the state has to take a proactive approach going into the next few years.
And results show notable gaps among economically disadvantaged and minority students. In Algebra 1, 26% of Hispanic students and 17% of Black students met grade level expectations, well behind the 41% and 35% statewide.
Until we are able to close those gaps, we're going to continue to see a lack of opportunity for certain students across the state along lines of income and race.
The STAR test has long been criticized for taking instructional time away from teachers and putting unnecessary pressure on students. This legislative session, state lawmakers tried to scrap it. House Bill 4 would have replaced the STAR test with 3 shorter tests given throughout the school year.
What this does is remove testing from being the center of gravity for the year.
House Bill 4 died after the chambers couldn't agree on a replacement test and the state's A to F rating system for districts. State lawmakers are planning to take another run at it next session.
We can't ever let our foot off the gas, otherwise we'll continue to see different declines across any of the subjects.
And that was Daniel Perot reporting. All eyes are now on next Tuesday when the highly anticipated STAR results for 3rd through 8th grade will be made publicly available. The Austin Transit Partnership released its official request for companies to bid on the multi-billion-dollar contract. The contract covers nearly every aspect of the $7.1 billion project, including tracks, stations, bridges, and the new crossing over Lady Bird Lake. Companies have until July 3rd to submit their qualifications. ATP will then invite the top firms to submit detailed proposals. The winning contractor will be selected early next year, with construction starting in 2027. ATP says the first train should be up and running by 2033. The light rail will connect 15 stations across almost 10 miles, running from 38th Street to South Congress at Old Torf. Those involved say the all-electric trains would run every 5 to 10 minutes during peak hours. Those are the headlines in Austin. I'm Quita Culpepper.